So you wanted to be a softball coach at some point in your life?
I did. I ended up being a softball coach. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a high school softball coach. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up. So our softball coach was a guidance counselor at our school. So I decided I needed to be a guidance counselor in order to be a softball coach. So I got my degree in psychology, and I actually got my master's in counseling and psychology. But I went into the Air Force instead and stayed there 28 years. When I was getting ready to retire and I was looking for other jobs, I went into the high school and I walked in to go meet with the counselor just to see what it was like. And just being back in the school kind of made me decide I did not want to be a guidance counselor after all. I ended up volunteering. I used to coach for the Williamsburg Stars, which was a travel team here in Williamsburg. And I coached for the Bruton High School team, the varsity team. I was an assistant coach there for a while as a volunteer. But I've got it out of my system.
That was enough. Got it.
What was now I just want to write about it.
What was easier to coach? Aspiring authors or a girls softball team? Oh,
give me the authors any day.
Oh, really?
But I tell you what, and there's a big difference too. Coaching the Stars, was a travel team. So those are girls that really, really wanted to be there, and their parents paid money for them to be there, so they were in it. And the high school teams, they're not. They're just to do something. And so it was a very different coaching dynamic. I did coach when I was a second lieutenant stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base. That was my first coaching. So I was 24, maybe 23, 24. And I remember my colonel, so my like 4 layers up from me, his daughter was on my team. And that was a little bit challenging, although he was awesome about it. He never gave me a hard time, even when I benched his daughter. But he never gave me a hard time. I did make her cry once.
I coached a summer swim team for 5 years as a head coach, and the kids were always great. I always said, though, the parents, it was 150 kids usually on average. And so people look at that, 150 kids. Yep. Well, it's 300 adults, 300 parents. And there is a handful, multiple handfuls of those people that were just, what's the word? PETA?
Yes.
Yeah. Pain in the tail. Yeah. Or just pit with the 2 T's. Yeah. I mean, it's hard, but it's very, I loved coaching, and it's something that is always in the back of my mind of like, oh, that would be fun to do again. I say that, but I was like 20 then. So it was fun then. Who knows if it would be fun now. Tim, did you ever coach any of your kids' sports?
No, no. Especially with our kids, it's just, it's better to let someone else coach them.
Well, that's always the case anyway. And we would make that deal because we also coached like t-ball, and when they were really little. I have 2 daughters. They're now 18 and 20. But we coached their teams, and we would make a deal with the other coaches. You coach my kid, I'll coach your kid, and let's not say anything to our own. And that always seemed to work better.
That's cool.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, but Paige, my now 18-year-old, did write one of the books in the Lady Tiger series. She wrote the 4th book because it had to do with self-esteem. And she felt she was much closer to that issue than I was. So she did a fantastic job. She wrote it in my voice. I'm talking about that, Zack, very important, because then it fit into the whole series. But I did not edit her book. I did not coach her through that. I mean, we talked about it, but when it came time, we sent it to a different editor, and they talked to her, they gave her the feedback, and they took care of everything because I didn't want mom to get in the way of that.
Well, she definitely knew your voice.
I'm sorry?
She definitely knew your voice.
Yeah, she did. But she was fantastic because before she wrote that book, she had been a beta reader. She read all my books. And she helped me write the back blurb. On my website, there's a section called Meet the Lady Tigers. And there are softball cards for each one of the 13 girls on my team. And Paige wrote all of those. I had somebody else draw it, but she wrote all the, their favorite ice cream is this. And they've got brothers and sisters. And the whole backstory for each one of my characters. Paige wrote all of it. So she was ready to do this.
Now I'm hungry.
But now she is 18 and in college, and she is writing her own stories, though, in her own voice. And they're going to be more fantasy kind of books for young adult, probably.
Cool.
But she's just doing that for fun, not for a degree.